Hey guys, what up, what up, what up? Your boy JY the Catalyst, out with a quick, unrehearsed, unscripted guys, and in today's video I want to talk about the feedback cycle, the subconscious loop, the feedback cycle. And here's how it goes, right? Hear me out. So that everything we experience in life, guys, everything we experience on this planet gives us a negative or a positive feedback. And we experience that feedback, that positive or negative feedback, we experience that feedback through emotions. And emotion is how we feel. Emotions cause our feelings. So if it's a negative emotion, we feel shit. If it's a positive emotion, we feel good. Now, how we feel then dictates how we think. So emotions lead to feelings, which lead to thinking or our thought, and then our thoughts lead to actions, and what actions we take on the real plane, in this real world, right? So our actions then cause our experiences, and those experiences are going to give us that feedback again. So that feedback is either positive or negative. It's going to cause a positive or a negative feeling, which is going to cause a negative or a positive thought, which is going to lead to action. Now, we don't know these actions. We're just taking these actions based on our thoughts, because everything we do, everything we experience, everything we do, all the actions we take are based on how we are thinking at that time. So realizing this, guys, we can then manipulate our actions by purposely feeding ourselves the feedback that we want to experience. Okay, now this feedback is nothing but course correction, right? So if we're headed towards a target, right, this feedback that we get, because the actions that we're taking are going to cause this feedback, and this feedback is just course correction. So if we are veering off track, excuse me, if we're veering off track, if we're headed towards the wrong direction, a negative feedback is just a warning sign to say, dickhead, you're veering off track. That's not where you want to go. You want to get back over here. So that's why negative emotions, that's why we experience negative emotions, that's why we get this negative feedback, is just course correction. It's just telling us to get back on track. Now, what happens when we are on the right track, when we do the right things, we create a positive response, or a positive emotion. And we don't have to do anything. We just feel good, and we just keep doing those things because it makes us feel good. So when we experience a positive emotion, it causes a positive feeling, which creates positive thinking and leads us to keep doing those right actions. Now, ignoring those signs, guys, is detrimental to our mindset and our mental health, because ignoring a negative emotion or a negative feedback by turning to whatever vice we turn to, right? Whatever feel-good vice we turn to, and we all have them. It's just some of us have the right vices and some of us are using the wrong vices. But ignoring those negative, if we're constantly experiencing a negative emotion, means we're not doing the right thing. And if we always have to turn to a food or a drug or alcohol or something that is going to make us feel good momentarily, so that we can ignore that, because nobody likes to experience a negative thought or a negative emotion. So our automatic response is to turn to something that makes us feel good, so we can ignore those signs. And what happens is we end up moving towards the wrong target. Only to realize that we're never getting there, because we're not actually going towards our target. We're not moving towards our target. We are creating false feel-good emotions, which is leading us towards the wrong. This is why a lot of drug addicts end up hitting a brick wall, because or the ultimate price, which is death. This is why people end up going down that path. It's destructive. We are constantly trying to get ourselves on the right path through the wrong means. So, as a collective, humanity as a collective, we were all veering off course. This is why what we are experiencing now, what we are going through now, regardless of where it happened and how it originated and whatever conspiracy theories are out there, my take is this. My take is that humanity as a whole, we were veering off track. We were consuming at the expense of, payback later. We're borrowing from the future to enjoy life now. We were consuming shit we should not be consuming, causing massive detriment to the planet, to the well-being of all living things on this planet, humans included. We're being detrimental to our own existence. because of overconsumption and greed and negative feedback. Everybody, I mean, why is depression and mental health so huge at the moment? Why is it massive? You know, why is it massive in a time where apparently it's the richest we've ever been? So why is this happening? Is because collectively, as a collective, because we are all one energy experiencing itself subjectively, right? We think we're all separate beings, and we are. But the bigger picture, I mean, you've seen those videos where, you know, it keeps zooming out, and ultimately what happens is the only thing you can see is this planet, which means we're all one. We all are experiencing this life as a whole. And most of us were experiencing negative energy and negative emotions, outputting negative actions, inputting negative emotions. So this had to happen. This we brought upon ourselves, regardless of how it came about and how it started. We brought on upon ourselves a massive course correction to say, dickheads as a collective, not dickhead, dickheads, you are all veering off track. You are destroying your existence. You are destroying your way of life. And here is this massive disruption so that we can course correct. Now, I hope coming out of this isolation, coming out of this lockdown, we can all come out with an open mind. We can all come out with, you know, a new way of doing things, because we got so caught up in cheap consumption of cheap things. Everybody's after cheap. Now, the thing is, cheap comes at a cost. Cheap comes at a cost of someone's health. Cheap comes at a cost of over you know, utilization of our natural resources. You know, cheap comes at a cost of slave labor. You know, why should somebody suffer in a third world country only to provide whoever's living in a developed country or a first world country with, you know, cheap t-shirts, for example? You know, if everybody paid the right price, the right price to produce the food, the clothing, the cars, whatever it is, if everyone just paid the right price, everybody would enjoy balance. Everybody would enjoy positivity and positive energy, because things would be forced to be produced ethically, morally, and with love and positive energy, right? So which means everything we consume would be positive, and it'd be loving, and it'd be from a place of love rather than a place of, you know, discomfort and hate. So, you know, I don't want to get too far off topic, guys, but basically you really got to pay attention to your emotions, because it's ultimately your emotions, guys. Your emotions is what ends up dictating your actions. You know, your actions stem from your emotions, because your emotions are going to cause that feeling, and that feeling causes your thinking, and your thinking causes your actions, because thought, that invisible energy, is what basically causes all actions in life. So if you want to fix your actions, you need to really look at the emotions and really try and understand why is it that you keep receiving these negative emotions and negative feelings. So meditation helps, guys. Visualization helps. Visualizing things as you want them to be, rather than just waking up and accepting them for what they are. You know, really paying attention to your inner self and the invisible energy, right? Called life. So if you're just joining this video, guys, I'm just talking about feedback. I'm talking about negative and positive feedbacks. You know, a lot of us are ignoring negative feedbacks as course correction, and veering completely off track rather than moving towards our target. So go back and watch this video. I'm not going to go explaining it all again, because there was a bit of a rant. So go back to the start and watch this video, guys. But, you know, it's just my take on things and how things are. And this take comes from, you know, I don't just bring these videos out because it's just a thought that I had. You know, this comes from me really observing what's happening in the world, what's happening in life, listening to material, watching material that is not the mainstream, really listening to people that have studied and researched from all different angles. You know, it's me really focusing on all these different non-mainstream learnings, and I've done this for years. And then what this does, guys, is it gives me an understanding from what's going on from, you know, a bird's eye view. So, and this is why I've got nothing to say about conspiracy theories, and this is why I've got nothing to say about people making up their, you know, all these conspiracy theorists coming out and causing this big, massive commotion. But reality is no one's actually doing anything about it, and no one can actually do anything about it. The only thing we can do is focus on us. That's right, bro. Man of the forest, man. That's where I am, man. I'm in the forest, bro. Just opening the mind, man. Just came here to go for a walk, and that's why I come here and go on these walks, man. These walks, because what these walks do, these walks allow me to access a part of my brain that I don't normally access. It allows me to tap into a consciousness, a God consciousness, a genius that is within all of us. It allows me to tap into that. You know, we don't have to go to a building, we don't have to go to a church, we don't have to go to a mosque, we don't have to go to a place of worship to tap into God, because reality is this invisible energy is everywhere, right? It's everywhere, and we can tap into it. And it's genius, and it allows us to live, it allows us to experience life on a whole different level. And unfortunately, we've been kept from this secret. You know, this secret's been kept from us. A lot of us don't realize that there is an inner genius that we can tap into and really get an appreciation for life from a different perspective. Coming into this natural habitat, right? Coming into this beautiful fresh air allows us to tap into that. Allows us to tap into that conscious energy, into that genius energy, and God consciousness, bro. That's right, 100%, man. God consciousness. And that's what we do here. We come in to tap into that God consciousness, because reality is God wants us to be happy. God wants us to be successful. God wants us to be positive. We just keep ignoring those warning signs, right? We keep ignoring those warning signs, you know, because nobody likes to experience a negative emotion. Once again, if you go back to watching this video from the start, I was talking about negative emotions as feedback, as course correction, right? That's all it is. A negative emotion, a negative feedback is purely just course correction. It's God's way of saying you are veering off track. Now, you know, a lot of us are silencing this negative feedback and negative emotion through turning to, you know, negative vices that are going to cause a negative impact. And as a collective, as a human collective, guys, because we are all one energy, right? We are all one energy, regardless of race, color, religion. We are one energy, right? Experiencing ourselves as a separate entity, but we are all one. So as a collective, guys, we started ignoring these warning signs and veered completely off track, and the way of living and the way we were doing things and the way we were hurting each other was wrong. So we got served with this mass disruption of the way we were doing things, and everybody now is forced to course correct. Hopefully we can all come out of this lockdown with a different mindset, a different way of doing things, a little bit more love and appreciation towards each other, supporting the smaller guys. You know, greed is huge, corporate is huge. If we can all just support the little guys, support the little businesses, show a little bit more patience towards each other, you know, these are all the things we need to be coming out of this lockdown with. Not hate, not more negativity, not, you know, because these are all this is all the stuff we were doing before we went into lockdown. So going to this lockdown, guys, has forced us to hopefully self-assess and self-analyze and focus on all the things that we were doing wrong and all the things that we want to start doing right. And that's what's going to change this world, guys. I mean, it's amazing when you hear stories of, you know, places around the world rejuvenating and, you know, starting to fruit and starting to green and starting to clean up, and this is the way the world is always meant to be. So as a collective, guys, we started destroying this planet by over-consuming and over-consumption, and this is our course correction. This is, you know, however it came about, whatever caused this thing to happen. Once again, guys, there are a lot of conspiracy theories out there, and quite frankly, I couldn't give a shit about any of those conspiracy theories, because my belief is that we brought this upon ourselves. We brought this upon ourselves as a collective consciousness, guys, and this is just a way of correcting that course. So, you know, I keep repeating myself because I've got a lot of you guys joining in at different parts of this video, but, you know, I've been meaning to bring this video out for quite some time now, but, you know, I've just tried to keep it inside because I'm like, you know, what purpose is it going to serve? Because everything we put out into this universe, guys, needs to serve a purpose. And hopefully the purpose of this video, guys, is to just get you to focus internally. Focus on your inner self. because that's where you control external experiences, guys. That's where you control what happens outside and what emotions and what feedback we get from what's happening, from what's happening. This is how we can control how we feel about what's happening, by turning our energy and attention internally, always self-analyzing, and trying to work out why this is happening and course correct. So guys, come on out of this lockdown beast mode, come on into this lockdown with a lot more love, a lot more patience, a lot more care, a lot more responsibility. Pay the true price for things, pay the real price for things, all right? Because cheap isn't always better. And if we all start paying the true price for things, it means we will all be forced to practice balance, moderation, and discipline, right? If we all pay the right price, because paying the right price means things are going to get produced ethically. The farmer that's producing the fruit is going to get paid what he deserves to get paid. The person making our clothes is going to get paid what they deserve to be getting paid. And we're only going to start buying only what we need to be buying, which means less resources being consumed on the planet, which means less stress, less, so consumption, overconsumption, consuming at a rate that we can't afford. That's why there's debt crisis, and that's a whole different video, guys. That's a whole different video on finance and the financial markets and the debt levels that we've created. We've created a massive amount of debt that we can't pay back. And this debt is only created because we've overconsumed. We've overconsumed what we can't afford. A lot of us are living a lifestyle we really can't afford. Now, if everybody lived the lifestyle that they can only afford and nothing more, well, we wouldn't be consuming as much as we are consuming. But that's a video for another time. I'll bring that video out. But for now, guys, if you've watched from the start, I hope you can take some of this and to just think. And that's all we want to do, is we just want to think. We are so distracted with so much going on, guys, It's been proven that our energy or attention span is now like 7 seconds. The attention span of a human right now is 7 seconds. So every 7 seconds, our attention is being turned to something else. And this causes confusion, and this causes depression, because we're not holding a thought, we're not focusing. We're constantly being distracted through so many different ways. So stopping and breathing and focusing and taking it all in and observing, just observe. Internally, externally, just observe. If you give yourself just half an hour every day, try this, try doing this. Here's a strategy that you can do for the next 21 days. Sit in silence for 30 days, somewhere quiet, you by yourself with your thoughts, and purposely try and direct your thoughts. Purposely try and direct your thoughts to whatever it is you want to direct your thoughts to, and see how long you can do that. Just practice. This is training your mind. Just like you go to the gym and push through those reps, guys. We all go to the gym and we know that it's always that last rep that, gets us the most results. This is exactly what we're trying to do. We're just trying to train our thoughts, because our actions are determined by our thoughts, guys. And the minute you can control your thoughts, you control your actions. And the only way we can control our thoughts is by controlling the emotion or the feedback that is coming through from those actions. So everything's linked, guys. Emotions, feelings, thoughts, actions. Emotions at the very bottom, and then they cause our feelings, which cause the way we think, which causes the way we act, which is responsible for the feedback that we get through on an emotional level, guys. So I want to stop now because I have ranted a bit. There's a lot to get out in this video, guys. Nothing but love to everybody who's watching this video. Let's all come out of this in a different way, in a more positive way. I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you guys can go back and watch some of this, and like I said, take all the positives out of it and make it a positive thing rather than a negative thing, because it's a beautiful time. I believe it's a beautiful time. It's forced us to really focus and think on what is really important, what really matters. Because as I've always been preaching through all the things that I've done through Fight Club, is that everything that exists everything that exists beyond us, beyond ourselves, can disappear overnight, whatever it is. And that's exactly what has happened, guys. A lot of us have lost businesses, a lot of us have lost a lot through this. But always, that if all we did was identify ourselves with what we had, then, and we lose those things, then we become empty. This is why for me, God and spirituality is so important, because having God and spirituality, having a faith and a belief system so strong in an invisible entity, believing in something that doesn't exist physically. You know, it's easy to believe that this is a cup of coffee. It's easy to believe that, you know, I'm sitting on a bench because I can see it and I can feel it. And if those things get taken away from us and all I did was identify myself with those things, then I'm going to be left empty and depressed. But having a faith, having a belief, allows me to turn to this invisible energy wherever I am. It's like having an invisible friend that I can talk to, that's going to make me feel good at any point in time I choose to, whenever I'm feeling down or empty. So, you know, that's another take. If you can take out of this video, guys, is, you know, start working on belief, believing in that invisible energy, believing in faith, believing in God, and whatever God you want to believe in. We all have different things we want to believe in, but it's important having that invisible belief or faith, because it can be anywhere with us. You know, we're not identifying ourselves with it. We're not identifying ourselves with, you know, the car or the business or the status or, you know, the labels or, you know, whatever it is that we identify ourselves. We give ourselves a false identity, basically, because if it can be taken away from us, it's not who we really are. Who we really are is so much bigger than that external thing that we are identifying ourselves with. So practice a little bit of faith by sitting quietly in a quiet place. Try it. 7 seconds. 7 seconds is our concentration levels. We can only focus for 7 seconds. That is the attention span of a human being. How pathetic is that? We can only focus on something for 7 seconds, and then we lose. You know, we lose attention. So if you can start practicing stretching this attention span on a daily basis, you know, stretch this attention span, meditating and praying and trying to purposely focus on the one thought for you know, 20 minutes even. You know, don't worry about half an hour, 20 minutes, and then stretch it out to half an hour. But, you know, the minute we start focusing, we are then able to direct our thought. We are able to direct our thinking, which is then going to lead to the actions, which is then going to lead to what we experience. And like I said, an experience is nothing but a feedback, course correction. Okay, it's there to correct our course and help us take the right action in moving towards the right target, guys. That's all we want out of those emotions. Emotions are purely there to tell us that, hey, what you're doing is good, it feels good, it must be good for me, keep doing the same thing, and no need to change anything. And if it's a bad feedback, if it's a bad negative emotion, then that's a warning sign for us to course correct. Don't ignore those signs by trying to silence them or drown them out, or, you know, doing the wrong things to, you know, just momentarily get rid of that feeling on that thought, because nobody likes to experience those negative thoughts and emotions, right? So we try and drown them out rather than taking the right action, having those hard conversations, having, you know, practicing discipline, practicing balance, meditating, doing all the things that require effort. I'm going to keep going around in loops with this video, guys, because like I said, there's a lot that's got to come out. So I'm going to keep going around in loops because everybody's coming in at different points in this video. But basically, guys, what we're experiencing now is nothing but a course correction. What a beautiful time to be alive, because we've finally hit that point, I believe, as a humanity, as a collective consciousness. We've hit that point where we all have to make a course correction. We all have to change the way we have been doing things, because we've all been drowning out those negative emotions, right? Mental health and depression at the highest levels they've ever been, because we keep drowning out those negative emotions. We keep drowning out those feelings while moving towards the wrong target. Overconsumption, overspending, always opting for cheap food. You know, food is so cheap, and we feel like, you know, why is food so cheap? when you look at real food, when you start eating the real food, guys, we start paying the real price. We start paying the real price, which means the production of this food is ethically and morally, which means the person creating this food is doing it, is getting what they really deserve to be getting out of it. So they're going to put loving, positive energy into this food. And when we consume it, guys, we are going to consume this food, this whole food, with positive energy, loving energy, which means we don't have to then turn to medication and pay the price for it at a later date in the future. And this is what's happening. We're consuming today on a future debt, be it through health, be it through finance, however it is, guys. So I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. If you've been watching with me, if you've stuck with me this long, guys, thanks for watching. But just, you know, great thing about, I guess, these platforms is the ability to express oneself and say it as it is, in the hope that, you know, you can create some positivity in what seems to be mainly or mostly a negative world. So if you can take some of this and apply it, or even maybe start thinking of the way, you know, you've been doing things, and if there's any, you know, changes, just giving you a different perspective, that's all. And like I said, this isn't just something that I, you know, think about spontaneously. It's through, you know, constant research and observation from all different geniuses, all different people that have studied and researched spirituality, finance, business, politics, you know, just taking in so much. This is why you can't be closed-minded and only believe that, you know, only one way of doing things exists. This is why being open-minded is so important, because, you know, you're constantly learning and seeing life from somebody else's perspective, which gives you a broad general knowledge so that you can make your own decisions. Thanks for watching, guys. I want to leave it there. I'm definitely going to leave it there now. Thanks for watching. Much love, peace, and respect to you all, your families, and your loved ones. JY the Catalyst. Peace out.